Okay guys, here we are, Structure Studios 101 Pool Studio Blue. We're going to be doing a speedy house build from Google Maps today. So let's get started. We're going to make sure our grid is on. We're going to make sure our snaps are set up. We're going to make sure our relative angle is on, or world angle, L or G shortcut key. I use relative angle with the L shortcut key and toggle back and forth between the no angle and the relative angle with the K and the L shortcut key. So here's our random house we just picked out of Google Maps today, and we're going to be bringing this back and forth to kind of show you guys from start to finish how I'm going to bring this in and set it up. Now I've already set up a screenshot of the top down from Google Maps. This is just basically if I don't have a survey, if I didn't go out and take any type of field measurements, if I didn't gather any type of material out on the field, and I'm just going to guess my way through it, this is the way that I'm going to do it. So here's our topo screenshot from Google Maps. What we're going to do is we're going to square this up. So always work on a square a grid to start with, not this angled stuff like this. So I'm going to draw two guidelines here in the house stage, and we're going to rotate this. I'm going to turn my relative angle off with the K shortcut key. We're going to rotate that in. I'm just going to show you just some points that we're going to take from to get our scale. First of all, measure distance, get it from the outside to the outside. I'm going to assume that this is a 12-inch overhang, so we're going to measure our distance across, and then we're going to compensate for the walls in a 12-inch overhang. So it looks like this is our measurement here, and let's see what we got. We are at 30 feet. Okay, so that's going to be our scale. This is how we're going to scale this entire thing. It's not going to be accurate, but this is the way that we're going to do it. This does not have a street view. Obviously, I selected a house on Google Maps that is restricted and gated. So let's get this thing squared up. So we're going to turn off our relative or world angle with the K shortcut key so we can freely rotate this thing. Then we're just going to slide this house up into that 90-degree corner right there. And then we'll make some minor adjustments here as we move along. Just to make sure that we get everything squared up. So we're going to delete that. We're all squared up. Now let's move on to scale. So this is where we measured our 30. So we are going to get on the outside of the roof. Now watch out for the gutter. There's a 6-inch gutter, so be careful with that. When you scale, it's going to throw you off a foot. So we're going to go 30 feet, and that's what we're just going to say it is. So now there's our 30. So we can start tracing and drawing our outline. So basically this video is going to show you that building a house in Structure Studios is a big box puzzle. That's what it is, a 3D puzzle. So this is going to kind of walk you through just my setup from start to finish if I'm doing this from Google. I never do this on Google Maps, but I know a lot of people do. I prefer a little bit more accuracy here. So what we're going to be looking at here is this straight wall, and this section of the roof is one piece. So this house is going to have multiple pieces. So this is just the way you build in Structure Studio or pretty much any 3D modeling program. If you're going to be building something, you're going to build it piece by piece, layer by layer. So there's no one-click, actions. That's just you're just going to draw a box, click it, and it's just going to make you this grand house with all these, semi-complex and complex roof lines. It's not going to happen. So this is the way you do it. So if you need to stop and pause and slow down this video, this can be a long video. It's going to be a 3-part video because it was longer. Now this entire thing took me about an hour and 30 minutes to draw from start to finish. So I did kind of cut and edit and speed up, just to kind of move through, just kind of show you, a basic speed build in this program. So here we are. We're going to make some adjustments here. I want to make sure I pop a lot of guidelines. So with the L shortcut key for relative angle, I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm just going to move my house model over to that. Everything's going to be pretty much whole numbers here. 25, 19, 25, 51, 50, 70, whatever. And then that's what we're going to be working with for this particular model. So we're going to do several layers. This is going to be our plate number 1, which is our first floor wall section. And let's just change this so we can get our get some stucco on it, and this is what it's going to be, throughout the process. Okay, this is floor 1. So here we go. Now that we have that established, we are going to back into the house stage. I'm going to use my D outline tool, shortcut key D. We're going to get on this and we're just going to outline it and draw another entire box around it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to set the property lines. I'm going to assume that this is going to be a 5-foot offset. Usually the fence is going to be 5 feet off of the house in this particular area, so that's what we're going to do. As you can see here, Google Maps is not going to be accurate, even though we scaled and measured and all that, so we're just going to just assume at this point. But for this model in particular, I'm going to offset this 5 feet as it would be on site, and then that's what we're going to be working with. So, also Google Maps, if you notice, it's at an angle. It's not going to be a full-on topo top-down, so you can kind of see the walls in this house right here. So you got to be very careful using Google Maps, especially if you don't have any type of field data to back you up. So we're just going to be drawing in some fence pieces here. Basically just kind of get my bearings on where I am on this property. And then we're going to go on and move to the second floor walls of the house. Alright, so here we go. And let's see where these fence lines terminate. It looks like about right here, so we're going to back this up a little bit, drawing our fence line. There we go. And let's go on the other side and delete my guidelines. And it looks like we are about, we're just going to guess. So let's just back this up and come over a little bit. There we go. Done deal. Now we are set up. We have our property line. We know where our back is. We know where our front is. We know our orientation. And our fence looks like it's at 5 foot, so that's what it's going to be. So now we can move on to our second level of the house. So using the D shortcut key for outline, I use it a lot. We're going to outline this section, and we're going to build our second floor. And we're going to stop it. You see there, you got this piece here that you're going to have to build in, and then the roof slants here. You got the little dormer. So let's see what we got here. All right. So this is where our line is going to be, because this is where our ridge is going. So I know that that's where the roof line stops. So I'm going to go straight across. I'm going to snap to my opposite line. And I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And then using my D outline tool, D shortcut key, I'm going to outline and follow this. I'm going to all the way around and click. And then that is my second floor portion. And so I know that I'm a 10 plate, so I'm going to set this elevation at a 10. And we're going to drop that down to a 9. So technically this would be about a 20-foot plate house. 10 foot on the lower section of the walls. Could be 11 foot, I don't know. I didn't measure anything, so I'm just guessing. So for this section, we're going to do our roof line. So this would be our third section of the main body of the house. So outline tool all the way around, click, and then we're going to A for a line, L for relative angle, click, and then we're going to make our overhang for our upper deck and our back patio. So roof only is selected. I'm going to bring this up, and there we go. Our roof is on, our walls are in, and we have the main body of the house is now complete. Let's change some material. This is a clay tile roof, so we are going to go into materials stage, roof materials. I'm going to double click the roof, highlight it, and it's going to be, just going to find one that's going to be, close to it. And then we will apply that roofing material. I'm just going to make sure that okay, here we go. Let's do this section here. So click, we're going to come over and relative angle is on. Click, click, finish it up, and that's going to be our shed section. It's going to drop down to this lower section of the front porch. So roof only, turn it to gable, 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 3 sides. We have this empty, so we add 1 to it, and it's going to add this. But it's not going to work because our soffits and our overhangs need to touch so that we make that nice seamless transition. Now this is where Grid Snap is the most important thing that you can do when you're building a house model in Structure Studios, is that the soffits are here, these soffits, and in order for these soffits to line up, they have to touch. So there's 12 inches, so that's 24 inches. So now it's nice and tight here. So now watch this. We'll make some adjustments in with our elevation here. Let's see. What I usually do is I will come in here, this little line here, and I'll drop it down. And then I'll add a 1/2 inch to it. So there's another video on a shed to hip attachment. I'd use the same method. This is just how you build a house in Structure Studios. It's just how you do it. Use it on every single model that I do. So we're going to have some filler pieces here. We'll take care of those later, so don't worry about those right now. So make sure your roof pitches are also the same. So I think this is a 6, so we're going to go with a 6. So let's make our front entryway area, and we'll make some adjustments to this later. Right now we just want to get our base and make sure that our base is in before we really start detailing it out. So very quickly I'm just going to make a line here. We'll do, like I said, we'll do some adjustments here in a little bit. So make sure your elevations are close if you didn't go out on the site and measure anything. We're just going to eyeball it from Google Maps. This entire thing is Google Maps. I have 0 field data. I have 0 property survey. This is just a raw from scratch Google Maps rando house that I selected that we're building. Again, this is a long video. This is going to be in 3 parts, and there will be some tags down here to show you or some links for the next parts of the video, so you can follow along here. So there'll be a lot of cool things that you're gonna learn here. Mostly it's gonna be filler pieces, how to connect your shed to your hips, and just the different pieces, how many different pieces that you're gonna have to build any house in Structure Studios, unless it's a single story with a single roof line. But the majority of us is not going to be that way, so we're just going to have to just layer on the pieces. So here I just kind of pulled a measurement from Google Maps and said, okay, this is about a 10-foot section here, so that's where I'm doing here. So this is a garage front, so I'm gonna gable that. We're gonna add 1 inch to give us to fill our roof. And there's our garage section. Now we need another shed section just like this one. So we got a lot of copy paste also, just kind of save some time. You already have squares, you know it's snapped because your grid snaps are on, so you can just snap it in place. Now for some reason the program will drop this down, so you have to go back up to your plate height of your lower wall, which is 10 feet. And we're just going to roll this over here. Like I said, we're going to make these adjustments as we move along. I'm going to be adjusting a lot of things. I'll do some exploding and welding, and just some minor adjustments as we move along, just for visual purposes. Now understand that the visual aspect, the 3D model is just a piece of the sales side of things. It just helps clients visualize the property. It helps sell the property. So the most important thing is that your model is accurate for your design, for your takeoffs, for your construction documentation, for your easements, restrictions, build lines, that sort of thing. That's why field data harvesting and gathering your own data is very, very critical. So again, we just did another section of the shed, just like we did on the opposite side. Here's where we're going to be doing some adjustments. So I had to drop this down below so I can make that to make that front. So I'm going to make some adjustments here. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to add another piece so I can lower that so I don't see the top portion of this section of the wall. So very easy. I'm just going to drop this down to my line here and my line here. D, shortcut key for outline tool. I'm going to make a new house piece base and then just drop this down, 4 or 5 inches so you don't see that wall any longer. And there it is. So again, multiple pieces. It's just the way that it is. If you haven't worked with any other type of programs and you don't appreciate how fast that you can do things in Structure Studios itself, this house right here would probably take 4 hours modeling with the detail in SketchUp or Revit 3ds or whatever it is that you're using. Here's a connection here. So what I did was I turned off the overhang, I turned off the roof trim, and then just made a filler piece. Now I'm just going to grab it because I'm snapped, and there it is. Look at that, seamless, and I don't see the roof line through the wall. So that's how you do that section. So we're going to make some minor adjustments here on some things that we're going to, we might see in the model, maybe for like video presentation or whatever. And so again, snaps are extremely important. They are critical. It is literally the most important thing that you can do when you're building a model in Structure Studios is to have your snaps on, especially for house models, straight line pulls, anything like that. So this section here is going to be another 8 or 9 foot garage door. I'm not sure. It might be a 9 foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explode this and weld it and add this little kick out here for that one garage door. See, now I'm going to add a piece of roof on top of that, as you saw in the Google Earth. Here's our garage door, here's our garage door, boom, boom, we're done. Let's add a little section of roof on top of this. So that's basically all it is, a little section of roof only. I'm going to make this a gable, make the back a gable. Add a filler to it. I'm going to drop this down below. No, we're off, but our pitch, don't forget your pitch. Pitch has to be the same so that this will disappear. So there we go. It's a 6, and look at that. You got a little Z fighting going on here. There's nothing you can do about that. So let's move along. There we go. So that's how you do that section. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's do this archway here. And we'll do some fillers here in just a minute. Let's move this back, and we're going to take a look at a couple of things right now. Here we go. Here's our section. We'll use a little filler here in a little bit. So let's move, like I said, when we drew this, we're going to make some adjustments. So this is actually going to be the overhang for the porch, or the front entryway. So I usually will just kind of eyeball it in 3D, and then I'll refine it and snap it in place in 2D to make sure my snaps are all very nice. Here's this little overhang, open front porch shed section, and this is going to be a little bit of a lower pitch. So if you notice here, you see how it kind of kicks out a little bit, so it's a little lower on the pitch. So that's what we're going to do, just for visual purposes. There are a few different ways that you can do this, but this right here is going to be the fastest way to do this model. There are a couple of more advanced things that you could do to make this a little more refined. For today, for this video, we're going to do the fast version. Again, touch your soffits. Always touch your soffits. And that's why, again, snaps are so very important. So here we're going to add that 1/2 inch back. And there we go. So that section is, so look at all these pieces. You got this piece, you got, there's already, 9 pieces of this roof or this house. And we're not even close to being finished yet. So now you need filler pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little exploding welding. So I'm going to delete this line. I'm going to bring this up to my 12-inch soffit. I'm going to come all the way over to here, and it's going to close that gap. And this is why you separate your roof lines from your walls, so that you can manipulate the walls and close those gaps. So here's a little filler piece. You're going to use this a lot. If it's a 18-inch overhang, it would be 18 inches. If it's 24 inches, it would be 24 inches. So it'll be whatever it is. This one is 12. So we're going to make sure all of our gables are turned on. Make sure our pitch is correct. We're going to turn off roof line. We're going to turn off roof trim, and we're just going to drop this down in place and watch that gap just disappear. See there, that piece? But you can never tell. Now this also works for siding and brick. It'll line it up for you. Now see this? You see that? Look closely here. It's because grid snap, something's off. See that? It's off 1 inch. So here it is. Boom. Now watch this. Now we're nice and clean again. See that? All right. Just disappears. So that's why grid snap is very important. So you can line all this up nice and tight. So this is going to be the end of part 1 of the video. I'm going to have the link in the description for part 2. It's going to start from this point here, and then we're going to be working on setting up our archways, our custom archways, and then some custom filler pieces to get going. So make sure you watch the next video that's going to be coming up. It's going to have a lot of good stuff in it.